for planning commission for the city of Knox and stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order, did the pledge. Amendments to the addendum. We left off on page 10.
I'll make the motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Measure passes. Thank you. Approve the what? Approve the minutes from. Oh, we just did that. Okay, new business.
No, we didn't approve the minutes yet.
Oh, need to approve the minutes. Sorry. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from last month?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
AJ second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. Measure passes. Thank you. Okay, now new business. 2 miles for the pet. Discussion, vote, not for profit, permit cost, and discussion and vote. Lonnie, I guess
Yeah,
on your table.
here, according to our zoning regulations, pets are also, household pets are included in the 2 mile jurisdiction, which include cats, dogs, and ferrets. No other pets are permitted in the 2 mile unless they're zoned agricultural, of course, but for your residential and rural residential and a lot of those. So needless to say, I've been spending a lot of time, and I've got all kinds of documents here that show that, of going out and enforcing pets, such as hogs was one, multiple chickens, ducks, goats, horses, every farm animal you can think of. It's continuous. And recently, another one that has 10 dogs in the house, cats, multiple cats outside. So with this case starting to come on, I was talking with the mayor about it. And obviously, he don't want me out of the city limits, because the taxpayers pay me to be here and take care of city issues. So what I'm proposing is just to, on the zoning ordinances pertaining to anything outside the city limits, that we take that off of our zoning for household pets and don't have any animals at all that the city has to oversee.
Within reason, or are we
Any,
gonna make a number?
yeah, all animals outside the city limits,
All animals that are not a dog, cat, or a ferret.
any animal,
All that
including
you-
cats, dogs, and ferrets.
Is there a county ordinance that would control?
I spoke to one of the commissioners today, let him know what was coming up. And they do have some ordinances that pertain to, you gotta have X amount of acres for a horse. They have some, they do have the kennel permit if you have a kennel license.
Of it out in the 2 mile jurisdiction, as you can tell, a lot of it's pretty rural. Our city is 4 square miles, and you include the 2 mile jurisdiction, it's a total of 20 square miles. So there's a lot of land that the city oversees only because of the planning commission.
I've got a question, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
If we give up authority in that area or jurisdiction in that 2 mile jurisdiction for animals, does it automatically fall on the county? Will they, or will they just be no protection at all? I mean, we've had cases of people starving horses and
Yeah.
we've had some pretty.
And a lot of that for, there's state statutes that protect about that. And then that would fall on, obviously, the county's code enforcement.
Really. They got the Humane Animal Acts and some of those that we've had to look up.
Well, for that to happen, unfortunately, you would need a neighbor to complain about a neighbor. And then it would probably either come to you or come to the county. Then they would have to either follow up. If it's in the 2 mile, then it would probably come more to you, correct?
They do. There's a lot of complaints
That seem to land on me because they don't know who else to call.
I understand that.
and, I'll direct them to the county.
We still have periodical discussions here and there.
Discussing the issues that the county and city both have and how is one another handling it. We still, talk back and forth, communicate. But with the whole animal thing, there's no way of really enforcing it. Except for huge fines that are $50 a day per animal. Those are, I think, originally meant to get compliance in the city, but then in the 2 mile jurisdiction, that's originally designed for the ease of annexation, is what the 2 mile jurisdiction was originally put in for, which, we're not giving that up. We're just relinquishing the authority of animals that I get a lot of complaints about when I go in the county and enforcing city rules on county residents.
Hasn't been friendly.
Personally, the only thing I see, a couple of things. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but if we give up any kind of rule or any kind of authority, then somebody's going to hear about this and they're just going to start running amok and have like what we had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Chickens, donkeys, horses, goats, maybe a cow or a pig. The only thing on the other side of that quarter is, can we, as a city, and you might be able to tell me if we can do this, bring the county over here and let them know, hey, we're thinking about doing this. We need your assistance in protecting the 2 mile jurisdiction. It's still rural county, but it's also city, so it's a double-edged sword. Can we get them on board to help with any kind of complaints? You think we should maybe bring them in to give us a hand?
I mean, legally, can you?
Yeah.
You could probably do it by an intergovernment agreement. If their thoughts are, we can't enforce within the 2 mile jurisdiction without some type of delegated authority, you can probably do, like I said, an intergovernmental agreement that basically assigns enforcement responsibility to the county. I've not looked deeply into it, but on first blush, that's kind of my thought. You might be able to do something like that.
Would it be a good idea to invite them to one of our meetings, say next month? And let them know what we're thinking and see if they're on board, because I don't want to get into a pissing contest.
Well, after it'll go to city council, and that's who they would be.
Well, I understand that, but they
would be.
wouldn't they have to come here first to us?
Not if we approve relinquishing that, and then it goes to city council for the final vote.
Okay, I get that, but I don't want them to be blindsided. I want them to be on board to make things a good transition. You know what I mean?
Well, like I said earlier, I'd already talked to one of the commissioners today.
Well,
They're aware.
I know who you probably talked to, and I understand that, but you have 3 commissioners. If one's for it and the other 2 are against it, then it's, to me, we're just beating a dead horse.
Yeah, you
Is that kind of right?
You need,
I want people on board. I want to be able to, and I know it's got to go through the city, and that's fine, but we all need to be on the same track.
well, to amend your zoning ordinance, you're gonna need a public hearing by both planning commissions.
it's gonna be referred to the commissioners from the county side of thing and then city council here. So you've got a couple steps you gotta take if you wanna make this work. Whether or not the county attends a meeting with the city council after you guys give a recommendation, or whether they come here and give it to you guys, if you have a public hearing, then I guess it's up to you guys how you wanna handle that. Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying? I've been on both sides of the fence and I don't know the gentleman that's up there right now, and I don't know I know the young lady a little bit, but you know, I think they have more than enough stuff on their plate here lately, and with some of the folks on that side of the fence, they seem to have a really hard time.
yeah, I think with your 2 mile zoning buffer, the complaint has always been, not that I'm saying you should get rid of it, but the complaint is always that the people that reside within that 2 mile buffer can't vote for the city council members who adopt the rules concerning that 2 mile zoning area. And it's not something just for you guys. It's something that a lot of cities and towns that have that 2 mile buffer say. If we can't vote for the people that promulgate the policies that they enforce then against us, is that
Yeah.
really constitutional? I don't know. So far, courts have said yes, but at some point that may fall. So
They all, that 2 mile jurisdiction is, we've discussed it long before I ever got on this board, and I know it's gone on long, long time. But it seemed to me they already were had their hackles up at the city because we collect fees from that area, but they think that they should have a share of that money, or that they should get all of it, or whatever, or permits and stuff.
the other question is, do you just want to keep it on the books and almost deregulate it? If you guys don't want to go through the hassle of holding 2 public hearings for the county here to amend your guys' 2 zoning ordinances and send it up to city council and the commissioners, and there's a mess. I've got a conflict, obviously, as the county attorney, so it kind of throws another wrinkle in there. But if you guys are just saying, you know what, we've got enough to regulate here. Lonnie is one person. And as long as it's not a complaint concerning, animal health, someone's not out there beating a horse or, has an unsafe, they're leaving a horse out in, 20 below weather, then we're not really going to concern ourselves with it. I mean, that's another tack you can take because, Lonnie's got enough on his plate. So, I mean, if you just say, unless it's a serious health and safety issue, we're not sending him out there for those things. That's another option.
I'm just,
Yeah, I like that idea.
I'm not trying, I'm just kind of, I guess I'm trying to be the David advocate here. I know Lonnie's got a lot on his plate. He don't need to be going out in Timbuktu and saying, hey, you can't have this. And I get it. But then again, the county needs to step up a little bit and provide some, authority too.
Just for sake of brevity, it's my understanding that all we're looking for here is something to go to the city council so that they can discuss it, and they would make a recommendation to come back here for a public hearing. So for the sake of brevity, I would make a motion that we advance this to the city council for them to make whatever contacts they want with the county. Work out whatever it is they want to work out. And we will patiently wait by to hold our public hearing if it is so required.
You want to make that a motion then?
That is a motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Oh, wait, I just want to make, just one more comment before we vote then,
Okay.
is that, in fact, I'll second the motion, but, one thing I want to say first is that, then I do think the public needs somewhere to call, or needs somebody that's going to be like the final arbiter about whether you're going to go out there or just let it slide or whatever. So
Like what the attorney was saying, in severe health, safety and welfare cases, but not just on.
right, because I was on the, I wasn't on the jury, but I was up to be picked for the jury for a lady that starve some horses to
Mhm.
death out towards Stoner. And this was her second time that she had done something like that.
We're all in
Alleged.
agreement on it. But the person to contact is going to be decided by city council, not by
Correct.
us.
Yeah,
So I'll second the motion.
I understand that and that's fine. Okay, we got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Motion passed. Goes to city council. But I'm just,
Yeah,
because, and Jeff makes I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. Jeff makes a good idea. They're still gonna call him because everybody thinks that they need to call Lonnie.
yeah.
And my suggestion, if they do call you,
Mm.
you need to get a hold of county
Well-
and maybe make a joint effort to go out.
And that's what is currently in place
Yeah.
right now.
And me and you talked about this a
Yeah.
little bit.
But
Okay.
this here, just to be able to move this along, just as a recommendation for city council to hear and understand, and then at that point, if they wish to have a hearing on it, or if they push it back to us to have a hearing on it, whichever way that goes, but essentially let city council have
Right,
a significant role in that, even though it's concerning the 2 mile jurisdiction.
right.
Which the city council doesn't actually do, it's the planning commission that handles that.
Yeah,
But in order to pass it, we have to get the blessing from city council.
right. Okay, I get it. I'm just, like I said, sometimes I would like to think that we can all work together, county and city. But I guess maybe I'm living in a dirty world sometimes.
As many times as this has come up, I look at this tool, this 2 mile zone is never land. Nobody knows who's really knows who's responsible for what, so.
That's a good analogy of it.
Except for me.
Yeah,
Except
I
for me.
feel sorry for you, Lonnie, I get
Yeah.
it. Okay, if we're done beating a dead horse, unfortunately, let's go on to old business, which is the
Yeah,
What?
new business.
oh yeah, not for profit. Okay, not for profits. Okay,
So what that is concerning is we have a ordinance that doesn't specify anything real. It just lists non-for-profit $25 for permit costs. Well, with that, same inspections go into play. Every, multi-million dollar complexes going up for a $25 permit. When you get those big projects going, I still have to go back and forth and back and forth. And that's one of them that, okay, what type of not-for-profit? How many different not-for-profits are there? Just to take, just to take that very vague line item off of the, pricing schedule for the permitting cost.
And so they would have to pay the regular cost.
Whatever every other citizen,
Unless it was waived by the city council,
yeah.
because they can waive it.
Yeah, and the mayor can too, but just to take it off of my charging, how much I charge for one, and then to try to decide who qualifies, who don't. That just makes that part of it, I guess,
so
simpler and more fair.
So if no
Yeah.
action were taken by the council, that you would be charging the regular fee.
The regular fees for anybody who
Is-
comes
is-
in and
I
bills.
assume that the regular fees are already mandated by the state.
No, there's city ordinance.
Oh, there is a city ordinance?
Yeah, on all the fees, and that's, with this one, is just striking that from that ordinance.
Do I have a motion to strike that individually, I guess a sentence or a letter or a
Just that,
couple of words?
yeah,
Yeah, I'll strike that from the, from the ordinance. This is for building permits.
yes.
Did you make it a motion?
Yes.
Second, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? No opposed, motion
So-
carries.
with that, we'll also have to fill that form out as a recommendation to city council to
Okay,
ratify that.
That's
That's what those are. Along with that,
So do you
Have
want
one.
all these signed then?
yeah, one for the 2 Mile Pets to move it to city council and the not-for-profit permit costs.
I'm gonna let you write that on there
Okay.
and,
not already on there?
then pass it on. No, that's just the form. Then he fills, or somebody fills it in, like secretary or.
Okay, make that one the pet. If you want to just write on the line.
And then, according to what you put it in on the minutes is how I'll word that in there. But we'll have to have everybody sign that.
Okay.
This one here is for the 2 Mile Pets.
Okay, and then make that one for the not-for-profit permit cost. I guess that's,
What does that mean? Not-for-profit permit cost?
Anyone who has, for instance, like a 501c, say, well, to begin with, churches, schools, food pantries, on and on and on and on, depending on what level they are.
the American Legion, the
Yeah.
VFW. Just, and what about the one that's across the street from the VFW? Ain't they non-for-profit?
Could be.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. But that's what it's for, is to keep, because the residents here have to pay full price. And then,
And the museum, all that stuff. Churches, well, mainly churches.
well, we got,
You want print or sign?
no, it's signature.
They're not a civic organization. They're not in business to make money.
We have a elevator permit coming in for a church, for instance. $195,000 is what it's gonna cost to install that. And we get
$25.
$25, and I've got to inspect multiple times on that elevator to see what's going on. Is that fair to the taxpayers here in the city?
That's not fair to you either. What would the cost of something like that be? Is it
that one,
like 5% of the?
no, like, for instance, that one would go from $25 to $100. Because square footage is a minimum. You're not talking huge increases. It's just
Okay.
Making some stuff fair,
They've already got one tax break. But they've actually got multiple tax breaks. We really need to give them another.
I mean, I get it. Everybody's got their hand out for a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But, the state,
so this here is mainly to make it fair with the residents, with the taxpayers who are actually doing that. Is it gonna stop businesses, sign permits, they're $100. Still require the same amount of inspections than anybody else.
But aren't elevators regulated by the state?
Yes, I get a state design release with the print, but I'm still the inspector on that.
I still inspect all of that, from the foundation, the footings, all the way up.
did you vote yea or nay?
Where is an elevator? One of the churches. It's exactly like the one that the annex building has. It's a wheelchair.
Yeah.
lift.
Is that for the Methodist?
Yeah. And that's,
$195,000 is what the permit said it would cost to put that in. And that's just one, for instance,
The other one's coming.
Okay. But we can
Okay.
That wouldn't, usurp the authority of the city council of waiving the fee.
No, there's oftentimes, tax breaks, incentives, everything the city gives to, tax abatements, all of those sorts of things that the city can still do if, for businesses coming in or anything like that. It's still all there. You know, we get a, say, and this is just for instance, there's been no insight of this whatsoever. But say a hospital comes in. How many inspections do you think it's gonna take to do that place? So,
Not counting a state inspector too.
you know, so on a commercial property, the max permit cost is $5,000. We have a cap on it. It's 20 cents a square foot of max of $5,000. So say you had a 4-story hospital come in, that permit's only gonna cost them $5,000. It cannot go no higher than that. So, you know, when keeping some of that stuff in mind, and they would probably get a tax abatement to come in anyway. So that could be if the city council or decided to throw in the cost of the permit, they can still do that. It just takes my deciding factor out of the equation, you know, which I'm not an elected official. It's not my position to choose, make some of those choices. And I thought taking that out will simplify things and
I get it. Okay. Now, old business. The subdivision control ordinance review. Did everybody get a chance to look at it, make some notes? We stopped at page 10, we're on page 11. Anybody have any notes on page 11? Any problems with page 11? Going once, going twice? Jim? Okay. All right, page 12.
Yeah.
This secondary plat approval.
I have the same questions there regarding that as we addressed earlier on the regular approval on page 9, section E. Primary plat approval. There's not enough days to get everything done in 30 days.
so you thinking maybe go after the same 35 that we had mentioned before?
Yeah. That would ensure that we get a meeting in.
Mm-hmm, certainly.
Everybody okay with that?
So, okay, this is page 12.
Page 12.
Where at? On page 12? Oh, number 1.
Number 1, yeah, G1, yeah. It's instead of 30, 35 days.
Yeah, we're just making reference back to page 9.
Right.
Where we make the very same change.
Yeah, makes sense.
Anybody have anything else on page 12? Okay, page 13. The construction plans. No problems there?
And when it comes to the construction plans, just so the board that rang another bell, the Tractor Supply is planning on doing a bunch of renovation. They just re-signed their 10-year lease. So now they're having a pet grooming area
Now, from what I understand, most of them are go in and do it yourself, which bathe your dogs, blow dry them, do all that. I don't know if there'll be somebody there doing it. So far, I haven't seen anything that would require any changes.
Are they gonna do it in the store? Or are they gonna add on to the store?
It looks like it's inside.
So they're gonna take like a corner and make a little room?
I don't know quite what, that's what I'm
Okay.
getting at.
Okay.
They sent me a PDF file on the computer. Well, the writing's so small. So, yesterday I told them I needed a full-size print. Well, today one come FedEx. I haven't opened it yet. But, if
Okay.
I can preview and see if everything falls in, I did let them know that they're gonna need a state design release. They do not have one.
Okay.
So they're working on that. So that gives me a little bit of time to review those.
Review
construction
and
plans.
kind of go over it
Yeah.
and any kind of thoughts. Okay.
And so no matter how much time you spend on, let's say they were gonna build on an addition to this.
Mhm.
The maximum is $5,000 for the permit.
Yes.
And didn't we discuss changing, taking that cap off or raising that cap to like 15,000 or something, or am I being unreasonable?
Must have been before me, because I don't,
thought that was discussed at one point, to take that off there, wasn't enough. I believe that we discussed it about the time they were talking about the collab building being put up out there.
yeah, I think that was just before
Well, we
me.
can visit that another time.
Yeah, but right now, that's what the cap is. We do have a cap on that.
Okay. Page 14. Minor plats, and that's number 5, I guess. And then
Okay, with that, says the minor plats, the minor subdivisions. Before we had those that was, 3 or 4 parcels. This one here stating 6. In some of that, right now it's currently 6. It's called a major subdivision. So I'd recommend to see what the state considers a minor and major subdivision. And
Did
do,
have you done
No, I
any
have-
research?
no,
Okay.
I'm not researching this until you guys come
Okay.
up, and then, but that's one of them, just reading, that I recommend we look into.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. When I was taking notes, I missed what you said.
Right now, the minor subdivision plats are 3.
Number
Anything?
1. Number
Yeah,
1 where it says 6.
One, yes, I got it.
Okay.
So right now they're free, is that what you said?
3 is a
Oh,
minor.
Free.
So 4 and up becomes a major. So essentially a 3 is, somebody owns 2 plots of land. They divide one in half and come in here, call it a minor subdivision. Usually with the minor subdivisions, you don't have erosion control issues. You don't have a lot of that major issues. So that's where I think the 6 still might be too much to include on a minor. Because you put 6 homes within every 30 or 80 feet that's permitted. You're covering up a whole lot of ground for saturation purposes. So,
Not only that, it seems like if everybody's right on top of each other. A
yeah.
lot of people don't like that anymore. They want a little bit of a gap between,
Hmm.
they don't open up their kitchen window and, hey, can you pass me the sugar, you know?
So with that, check on the state regs. I think we should probably keep the minor plats to 3.
Other than 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is what my recommendation is.
Okay. Anything else on this page? Page,
Well, on page 14 with that performance bonds, that's where come into issues before, whether we have them supply performance bonds, use real estate, real land as a security bond, certain things to go in on that aspect. So
isn't that what they already do anyhow? I thought that's what they did at out there at the Johnson
They did the land, but then they sold those lots first,
first.
and there went the bond. You know, so,
Do we need to, what are you suggesting? We put something in writing saying that they have to have either a cash bond for X amount of dollars for or do they want to, like, say they're gonna build 6 homes on 5 acres? Well, one acre, one home will be your hold for us
yeah, well, with this here.
as an example.
With this here, we would have to approve the plat anyway.
Right.
So at that point, depending on circumstances of the builders, have it to where the board here would decide whether it's a performance bond, a security bond, a cash
So-
bond, a land.
So basically it's a case by case.
And that's where with here, the security part of that, almost the bottom line to be final determined by the planning commission, something in that aspects.
Okay.
You know, you can have all of that, but the planning commission has the right to overrule case by case to
Do we need that?
issues.
Do we need to add that? Do we need to add that verbiage or is it already in there?
B, it looks like it's in B, it says improvements, installation.
I'd like to have a definition of performance bond.
Mhm.
What is a performance?
Well, it
bond?
says the subdivision engineer shall supply an estimate of the cost of the improvements and installation on the project to aid the commission's determination of the amount of the bond.
Mhm. And
But it's got to be sufficient to complete the improvements and installations, like the first sentence.
And the easiest part to say that is like our Jack and Bore project. They turned in a bond for the price of what the Board of Works accepted as the bid. So they have a bond for that same amount as that bid. Now, he was the lowest price. So if we had to hire somebody else to come in, who's gonna cover that difference? So that's with the subdivision part, roads especially, because we ran into that recently, how to cover that. So in there, having something that the planning commission may choose to alter on a case by case basis.
We have a major subdivision right now
Mhm.
that everybody's walked away from with no road. And we have nothing to use to put that road in. Because there was no bond put up.
This at?
It's Sunny Brook subdivision.
That went from Short to US 8. Or
Yeah.
State Road 8.
It's actually detached from the bulk of the subdivision.
Okay,
Mhm.
There, you've got 10 or 12 houses on Short Drive.
right,
Then you've got Sunny Side,
right.
and then you've got Sunny Brook again. And there's a road there.
There's,
You got 2 lots you can't get to because there's no road.
We talked about this a couple months ago, didn't we?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're
And
talking
that's where,
That's why you need that.
yeah, and then to have some stipulation that, you know, which that would be attorney language. Sorry, Justin, but how to word that the planning commission at some point or reserves the right to add certain specifications or something.
My question is that, okay, so like I'm looking back at B here on this. It's supposed to be in the amount determined by the commission, I guess that would be us,
Mhm.
to be sufficient to complete the improvements and installations in compliance with this ordinance. So, like you said, like say if you had a big, like say a sewer project,
Mhm.
and of course we're talking about $2 million maybe or something. then that surety bond would have to be for $2 million. But they don't have to come up with that money. They just pay whatever the bond costs. I don't know what that is.
Exactly.
And then
And
they get that money back.
once it's released from the city, they'll get that.
So are
money
we
back.
covered there, do you think, or not with that wording? Or do you think, or Justin, I guess maybe I should ask Justin. It looks like we're covered to me, but like if we need something else added, I'm talking about, under performance bonds. The first sentence B. I remember holding a surety bond. I don't remember what project it was, but when I was clerk treasurer, we didn't release the surety bond until whatever it was that we didn't think was done right.
This does not state surety bond. This states performance bond.
Yeah.
That's why I asked for a definition of what's a performance bond.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the performance, it's hard to quantify, I guess, what exactly you want to be covered here, because performance bond, legally speaking, a performance bond, kind of like the title suggests, is guaranteeing performance of the entirety of whatever you're, whatever's the part of the governmental entity. So, in the case of, what was the example you gave with,
The Jackson Bore project,
what was the bid amount for that?
$191,000.
$191,000. So basically, it's going to cover the amount to cover complete performance of the.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's because performance bond is more of a, I don't say it's not a legal term, but it's an industry term, I guess.
Hmm.
So when somebody submits for project approval, a performance bond, if their bid is $750,000, then they're going to have to submit a performance bond. Or sometimes irrevocable letter of credit, for example. We did that with the solar companies. We accepted I think it was like a $40 million line of credit, which basically the bank said was irrevocable. So they pay it out regardless, which is kind of the same as a performance bond. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to. I'm okay with the way it's written here because it says in an amount determined by the commission to be sufficient to complete the improvements and installation in compliance with the ordinance. And it's going to depend on, I guess,
If you,
specs of the project.
if we agree that price.
I think,
Completed.
I mean, I almost think if you try to put more specificity in there, it's probably going to hurt you more than it helps you, I think, since performance bond is more of a general term, again, to guarantee legal performance under the contract.
Yeah, that's kind of the way.
And we would need guidance, as to the bids. Like you said, one was extremely lower than the others.
Yeah.
So that we could abide by the last sentence of B. The engineer's estimate, however, shall not be binding upon the commission. So we may want to make the performance bond equal to the next lowest bid.
Yeah, and with, like what Justin was saying, that's that it's gotta be satisfactory with the council. So I think then when it goes for approval, if, say, everybody else is significantly higher and you have one that's significantly low, something don't seem quite right there, so you still wanna cover yourself. But yeah, I just want to bring that to
Okay.
everybody's attention.
Anything else? Questions? Page 15, which is continuance of the performance bond number 6. Anything jump out at anybody? Anybody have any notes that they want to talk about?
Item 2. The planning commission may, upon proof of difficulty, recommend to the city council extension of the completion date set forth in such bond for a minimum period of 1 additional year. Is that, can that be a 1 additional year after another additional year?
No,
Yeah,
I think it's,
It doesn't state that for additional. And what that's coming up for, just for example,
I've done construction for years. I was putting in a road for, city of Culver. And we're supposed to start the spring. That spring was one of the rainiest on history. And it was getting new curb gutters, everything. So, when you tear out an old road, all the water goes to the curbs that are first to put in. Finally, after a little bit, the city would bring out their back truck, they'd back out the mud, we'd put new in. They realized that difficulty and they didn't hold us binding to that. We just had to show that every day we were out there, we made significant progress. So they didn't hold that against us. And it was, a project that would take a month wound up taking 3 months because 4 out of 5 days during the work week, it rained.
and it was just, so that's, I think, where they were.
that's the way I understand the
Yeah.
wording.
Now, later on in that same section, it says, the city council may at any time during the period of such bond accept the substitution of principal or sureties on the bond upon recommendation of the planning commission's attorney. I like Justin, he's a great guy, but that's not his responsibility. That's ours.
Why can't we put in the wording of planning commission's recommendation by the attorney?
But that needs to go to city council, I think. We can recommend it. We can vote on it. We can recommend it, but it needs to go to city council.
Well, we can always put in there, we can always reverb that and
City council can do it. It just doesn't say that we have to send it there. That's my point.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's saying we have authority and so does city council.
Yeah.
Well,
We don't have that authority. City council
What
does.
is-
Once it's turned over,
Right.
that's it.
one way I well, maybe I interpret this a little bit different. Way I look at it is the city council might look at this and then revert it back to us for us to discuss it and or look at it in more detail with the attorney's recommendation. And then we give it back to the city council for them to vote on.
Yeah.
Is that?
And they very well could turn it back over to on that particular line item, say, you guys discuss this, figure it out, come up with a plan and come see us. And that's where obviously we're gonna use,
Am I overreaching?
that's where we're gonna ask the attorney, what do we do here?
But I understand what you're saying.
I just see a little bit of a conflict here, in addition to what I already brought out, as far as whose responsibility that would be. And that it says that, substitution of principal or sureties on the bond upon recommendation, but we can only accept performance bond and letter of credit. So how are you going to change it from those to a substitute?
Well,
Yes, do you understand what I'm saying? If we can only do one of two things, but now we can substitute something else when we're limited to only two things. I'm not sure what it is we're going to substitute to. There's not a surety bond or a performance bond.
I guess it would depend on the situation, right?
Yeah, I thought that's the implication of that whole paragraph is upon proof of difficulty, like under duress. And If that makes any sense.
Be extended 1 year
Yeah,
by one of those two measures only. Not a third, fourth, or fifth item. Okay, I want to substitute, I'll give you 2 lots.
Okay,
Mhm.
That's not in our purview. We don't have that authority. We can do performance bond or surety bond. We don't have
I see what you're saying, yeah.
But here it's saying that we can accept something else. What's the other option?
That would probably only work if they really ran into I guess, a major problem.
And that's where there's so many different ways of accepting a different form. So is that leaving it open to,
The developer or the person to come to either planning commission or city council, depending on where it's at, and say, hey, I can't provide another bond, but I can put my house up for collateral, for instance. You know, I think that's kind of what they're leaning towards.
And that would be the decision of the city council, not us, but
Yeah.
I guess it you're saying it would come through us as a recommendation? Is that what you're trying to say, Jim?
So it says,
and that's where with,
that it comes to us and then we would send it to the city council if we approve it.
Well, that would be,
What I'm saying is we don't have the authority to accept it to send to city council.
because we already signed off on it.
right,
Once you sign off on
right.
it, that's
That's
it.
We're done with it.
That's,
Then,
yeah.
then really they only have 2 options and that's it. And if something would happen and he have to come back to us, he wouldn't go to us anyhow. He'd have to go straight to the city.
Exactly.
But this is it comes to us.
Yeah, so,
Maybe we'll
that's in
take,
section 2.
Yeah. On page 15.
Yeah. City council meeting.
See, if it's not come to us, we could vote on it, but we don't have authority to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, and overall as a advisory committee, don't really have a lot of authority anyway, so if we vote on it like we did earlier, we send it up to city council, hey, we've discussed it, we talked about it, this is what we like. So it leaves, does that leave the city council an option to, hey, we don't have time for that right now, planning commission, you deal with it, give us a recommendation? Is kind of,
and wishy-washy?
Yes. Yeah. But.
Well, yeah.
I just brought up clarification.
Well,
It's confusing.
And that's what we're here for, and that's fine, and we should bring up stuff because we don't know. We would ask Justin, hey, what do what have you run into this problem in the past? And then we would maybe go from there. Do we want to leave it like this? My suggestion is leave it like it is and when Lonnie goes in front of the council and whoever else wants to go, we can make a recommendation.
We'll note that.
We can, when we get to that paragraph, we can say, hey, we have a concern here to you guys. This falls under your lap. We have a concern. This is our concern.
And we had that previously on here that
it was something we really never had an answer. It's like, okay, this particular paragraph, city council is gonna have to discuss and talk about because they're the ones that hold the
Falls in your
ultimate
court.
authority. So,
Turn it off on Bill.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else on 15?
No.
Anybody else? Go to 16, I guess it's a continuation with B, release of the performance bond.
One very small item on C3, the third line. Let's replace Napanee with Knox.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
I meant to say that. Yeah, that's another thing. I found it and then I went back to look for it and I couldn't find it again. Yeah, I seen that one too, and I meant to tab it and I didn't.
That was one of them I overlooked, because I went over it a couple times.
Beside that typo, anything else on that page?
Six, if we wanna go ahead and. move on.
To stop that. I think this is a good spot to stop though, because
Stop.
this will be a lot of
17?
good stuff to start up next month with.
Okay,
This is a
We
good
do
spot
have
to
one more
review, I
thing on
believe.
the agenda.
Yeah. all right. Okay, make yourself a little tab. We're stopping on page 17. Okay. And the last thing we have for old business is I understand that Jim has some more information on the rail quiet zone update. Do you have any paper to pass out? You want some help?
Would you sure find down the first sheet is a map of all railroad crossings within the city limits of Knox. That came from the Federal Railroad Administration. That's their official map.
17.
17. Some of them you won't be able to identify on that map, because if I enlarge the map, I can't get them all.
You can't read it?
So there are some that are covered up with prior actions.
I didn't realize we had that many. Just thinking about it.
The
I don't know if all these count though.
next.
Is that all?
Alley,
Wait, I mean.
yeah, no, that's right. That's all. There is that many.
Second thing,
It's a lot.
this is a
Got that big old list.
railroad crossing that's on that map, but some that are not on this.
Here's the list.
Because they're covered up.
We're passing the list out.
The item immediately following the number is the location by the inventory listing. Each railroad crossing is required to have an inventory. Right. And it's 2 pages long minimum. And that's the official location. The number directly below it is the railroad crossing Federal Railroad Administration identification number for that. The RR in parentheses is the railroad that oversees that crossing. Ours are all Norfolk Southern. The third item type is off the inventory listing. It's listed on the first one as pedestrian. Number 4 is a railroad siding. Number 5 is a siding. And I think all the rest of them are pedestrian. If you are aware of 4 and 5, you'll know they are not crossings, they are sidings. But they're required to be listed on this, so we would have absolutely nothing to say or do about them. There was one item that I noticed that there was an error on the inventory listing, the Federal Railroad Administration inventory listing. That's on item 9. The alleyway between Main Street and Shield Street is listed as a crossing. There is no crossbuck arms on there. They list that there are 2.
Really?
One going
Is that
north.
what that means?
That is in error in their record.
Okay.
And that would have to be addressed at whatever time we decide to do something.
So we know there's no crossing arms. Is that what that 2 means?
They'll come from you.
Paso Township is, the steps that need to be done in order to
Got the same word.
be considered for a quiet zone. The first item is,
Originals. That's what you're all
We
confused.
don't have this one.
That's, you're not supposed to have it. That's the originals.
And now we're
We passed everything out just so you could look at the originals. Now we're passing out for individuals.
okay, the first item under initial assessment and contact is to identify or map out public-private crossings to be included. Has to be a minimum of 1/2 mile length. We do meet that qualification. You do have a map. You do have the item, each crossing listed. So the first item is done. That's completed. The second item, we cannot do. That has to go probably to city council for approval to ask the mayor to go forward. He would then contact the powers that be, which would be listed in this on the back page, which everybody already has. It's not the back page, but it is listed in there, every district phone number is listed in there on this page right here. That's the contact information that city council or the mayor would make. To decide, at this point in time, nothing is decided. This is to put a committee together to study, see what needs to be done. Is the information that's on the inventory list accurate or not? Which we know it's not. Make the corrections. The committee would consist of NDOT, Norfolk Southern, and somebody from the Federal Railroad Administration, and somebody from the city, who would be appointed by the mayor. What you run into then would be anything that needs to be corrected in order to move forward and have it approved. And these are items that, and ways that you can modify crossings to make them acceptable for a quiet zone. As far as I can tell, the only one that would probably create a problem might be the crossing on 35.
Because it's a
And-
state highway.
Because it's a state highway. There are quite a few things you can do if it's determined, because that committee is going to determine the national safety equation as to where each one of those crossings with past history of accidents compare nationally with same type of crossing. And it's got to be below the national in order to be accepted. I don't see that as a problem. We don't have continuous accident. But the one that might create a problem is a 4-lane highway. Generally, they require a four buck crossings where you have northbound, both gates down, southbound, 2 gates down, so you can't drive around them. An alternative to that, and you'll see this in Mishawaka mostly, where they put a divide. You can either do it with a curb, a median, or you can do it with those yellow posts, which are collapsible, which you can still drive around. But the state accepts those as, I'm trying to remember what
Deterrent.
yeah, but it's a channeling deterrent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think is the term they use. So From what I've seen and read, and believe me, I'm beginner at this, I'm no expert, I really have very little knowledge of, I just don't see a problem. I did discuss this with Lonnie a little bit as far as Highway 35 goes. And I'm not sure just how much expense it would be to the city because that's a state highway.
Yeah. I'm
I
sure
just don't see any of the other crossings. We have crosswalk on every crossing.
Yeah, we do on 35 too, right? Or how would they be
We
different?
do, but it's a 4-lane.
I know, so, but don't we have a total of 8 of those? We got on each,
No,
not on each side?
you only got one on each side.
Okay.
He's talking, you'd have 2 on the north, 2 on the south, come down at the same time. So, yeah,
So when you were talking about that committee with, NDOT having to be in on that,
And more, so
So NDOT would be able to address their highway at, at that point.
yeah,
So, really, being as it is a state highway, that's out of our hands anyway. That's, so with them being on the committee, they would be able to speak about their own road, whether they're for or against.
so our next step as a planning commission is to determine whether we want to send this forward to the city council with a recommendation that they vote to have the mayor make the contacts and establish a committee to study. We've done, this is as far as we can go. We can do nothing.
So here what I would recommend is essentially having a meeting with the mayor, because if he's the authority that's got a call on it, give him the necessary information that he needs, highlighted, take the guesswork completely out of it. Step by step, and simply see if he would make a couple phone calls.
Really, all he needs to do is make a couple phone calls.
Mhm. And then it'll be rolling.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're just gonna have to plug away with this. I think this will take a long time, but it's all doable stuff.
Mhm.
And so we're at number 2. It'd be like the mayor or somebody from City Hall would contact the FRA to initiate the process. That's the next step. Is that what you?
yes. And that contact is in this booklet here. Lonnie's got a copy of it.
So they make the contact and establish a committee.
Yeah, we are in Region 4. That's Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. It's an 800 number. We contact them and you may have to contact NDOT.
Mhm.
But this work that I just handed out, that's all that's required prior to setting up the committee.
so out of all these 17 crossings, there's only one discrepancy. And that's the
Only
one
one discrepancy that I found,
that you
and
found.
it was glaring, or I wouldn't have found it.
Okay.
And it's that inventory listing will give you right down to the 1,000th of a mile from the center point.
Okay.
So I mean, it's very extensive, those inventories.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they have their engineers out there checking everything twice.
There is one other crossing that is not pedestrian, and that's the industrial crossing. Out in the industrial park, there is one out there. And that's the last one listed, number 17. As far as the alleyway that is mislabeled, there are 2 things you can do with that. You can put crossbucks up there, which would be absolutely ridiculous.
But the railroad would have to do that, wouldn't they? Because they claim they're there.
Build for,
Really?
you know,
Because they're claiming they're already there, but they're not.
correct,
They would try and build a city?
they could.
They could.
I have no idea. I would imagine that's a possibility. The other option you have is close it.
Close it off.
Close it off,
And I
yeah.
think that's been suggestion, but I think, is it NIPSCO that wants that open to be able to get access?
Garbage collection.
Oh,
Yeah,
And do we want to pay for crossbucks or reroute the garbage collection?
yeah, they can always put it,
And
They can all-
that's hard to say.
they can always put it at the curve anyhow. They do that in most of this.
Right. That's up to city council.
Now,
It would
yeah,
affect two whole houses
yeah.
on Main Street.
Now, the other one you're saying on industrial, it doesn't, in the industrial park. That's, there's a crossing out there. I don't even know, I didn't even see sidewalks. How would there,
I believe that crossing is,
is that one of the spurs?
your map. I believe.
I don't have the map.
that is out by the fertilizer factory.
That's-
Go on past.
That's one of the spurs,
Going past 300,
right?
I think there's a crossing there.
Yeah, there is, but that's considered a spur.
Crossing.
Well, whatever, but
Yeah,
If-
it's still railroad.
if
Yeah.
it goes over it, it's a crossing. Now they did close the one on Division as far as I can tell.
Yeah, they
It's not
did, yeah.
listed.
Yeah, it's closed.
yeah, it's close.
That's all I have. It's up
I don't know.
whatever you guys want to do with it.
Yeah, we'll get together, Jim will get
Some
Does-
itemized details and what presents the mayor, see.
Do you want to give? You got that handout you passed there, the first one with the map and all the information. Do we want to give that to the mayor and let him
well, we got copies.
look? Oh, you got copies already of everything?
We got that.
Okay. Do we need a motion for that or is
Nope.
it just send it on to him? So, any other discussion on the railroad?
no, thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Doing all that homework.
Appreciate it. Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor, say aye. Any reject?